rival, which is Sangiovese. So this is Chianti Classico. So Chianti is pretty well known.
Yeah,
Maybe the most well known.
I would say so.
But not everyone knows is that there's Chianti and there's Chianti. So the Chianti Classico is like the OG original Chianti area.
It's like the old town.
The kind of core area where historically Sangiovese was grown to make Chianti. And then over time, as demand and international reputation, Chianti really grew. They expanded that area more and more, and maybe some of those areas weren't quite as prestigious or as quite as suited to making Chianti. So that's just Chianti, and then there's Chianti Classico, and you'll always see on the label the Classico if it's from the kind of the original area.
And there's a bit of a increase in price, but I do think it is worth it. And you also tend to get producers who've been there for a bit longer.
Yeah.
And older vines, really know their stuff and love the area. Sangiovese was my first kind of Italian grape that I really got into, and it's just so bright and juicy. And
and I think maybe for people that are newer into wine, it's a bit easier to understand. For me, it's less kind of like broad on the mouth, and it's just a bit more less astringent, a bit more like straight line as a wine generally.
And again, definitely food wine.
Definitely a food wine. But, we're going to quite happily enjoy a glass now we have food, so.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I remember learning when I first started doing kind of wine exams and education that cherries was a big giveaway on Italian reds. If you ever got that, or if you ever had a blind wine that was Italian, or you suspected it was Italian, write down cherries. And I don't know if it's just in my brain, but every time I drink Italian reds, I always think of cherries.
And for me, for anyone that's not visited, I'd strongly encourage people fly into Pisa, Siena, or Florence. Florence is the closest main city to the kind of Chianti heartlands, and home of the Renaissance art movement, if that's your thing.
There's so much to
amazing cathedrals, churches, or just great restaurants.
Yeah, and we travelled down to Bulgaria.
We did.
So we flew into Pisa and checked out some Super Tuscans, or an amazing Super Tuscan Ornellaia. And obviously they took the Sangiovese grape and ran with it.
The kind of upstart younger cousins, so much less historic.
Yes.
And introducing kind of international varietals, so kind of traditional French grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot to rival Sangiovese. I think it happened because there was a bit of frustration among a lot of wineries with a lot of the laws that have been introduced to govern exactly how and why you should make wine. So for a period, to make Chianti, which is famously a red wine, they had to use a certain amount of white grapes as well. That's just because historically they had that planted.
Right.
And for a lot of producers, that made no sense. And they had to include Canaiolo as well, and other red varietals from the region into the blend. It didn't matter whether you had good enough fruit, whether the quality was there, but that was just the rules of the rules. So that's where you saw some, really top producers kind of joining this Super Tuscan movement, saying, no, quality is more important first. I want to make the best wine that I can make.
Yeah.
And screw the rules. We won't label it a Chianti or call it Vin di Tavola or just table wine.
And they've had some pretty incredible success, probably.
Yes.
I think they started in the 80s, most of these wines, and now
not looked back since.
Icons of fine wines.
Revolutionary at the time. Now a lot of these names like Flaccinello from Fontodi, or Montefatine, they're kind of icons in their own right, and often fetch much higher prices than some of the very traditional Chianti Classico producers. I should have to say, actually, the rules have now liberalised a lot more, and they're a lot more flexible with what they mandate to winemakers on what they have to do to make wine.